Hello. When I started to create Fast Track for Kids 2 or 3 years ago, I knew it was going to be good. But as we put it into practice more and more, and there's more people using it in their own unique way, I'm beginning to recognize that it's even more fantastic than I could ever have imagined. So I want to share this story with you. And for the purpose of this, just close your eyes and know that you're going to be here for about 5 minutes listening to me. I want you to imagine that you're a young mother with your first child, a daughter. Let's call her Jane. You love Jane. You might be a little overzealous as if this is your first child. You're doing everything you can possibly do to make sure that she has the best chances in life, which is why you went out and bought Fast Track for Kids. Jane at this time is around about 3.5, 4 years old, and she's used to playing the game. She plays it sometimes when she's worried or upset with mum. She plays it sometimes because she's happy and she likes to play with you, the little character. She's got used to playing this game with her mum and having these conversations that are a bit different than she had before. There's a new connection, a new relationship between them, where mum asks a question and listens to the answer. There's a new sense of trust. It's just different. And so imagine mum's surprise when Jane, 3.5, tells her about a situation a year ago where she was touched inappropriately. Imagine that. Mum has no idea of that. And Jane had kept it to herself for her own reasons, and she's only 3.5. What does she really know? But if you think about yourself, how many things didn't you tell your mum? Just because you felt it might upset her, you might get into trouble, or you'd done something wrong. Now, we don't know why Jane didn't mention this to her mum when it actually happened. But what we do know is that she got used to this interaction through Fast Track for Kids and trusted the system, herself, her mother, and the situation enough to share this information that she had not shared for a year, I believe it was. Imagine being able to help that gorgeous 3.5-year-old little girl to release that memory from her subconscious, from her mind. Imagine the relief of that for the child and for mum. Added to that, what I want to mention is another miracle. And that miracle is that as mum worked with the system of Fast Track for Kids and helped Jane release the shock and the trauma of what had happened to her, Jane decided that she didn't want to let it all go. And she held on to the remaining 2% or whatever it was. Now that didn't make sense to mum, but when mum reported that back to me, I totally got it. And it's something that we call cellular memory. And what had happened is Jane had decided with her own intelligence, her own intellect, that she was going to remember that to some degree, because if she remembered it, it would not happen again. So what she was doing unconsciously was keeping the trauma of that event alive, because she thought it would stop it from ever happening again. And of course, as we know, what we focus on is what we get, whether we want it or not. So this could have very detrimental effects in the long run. I'm blown away by this information and by how much Fast Track for Kids and Fast Track itself can help us with these things that could be buried. And what would happen to Jane? Of course, we don't know. But what happens once something is remembered in the subconscious and it's kept alive and kicking, that your subconscious starts to respond to similar situations, because that's what it's trained to do. Now, what does that mean? Your subconscious, it can perceive all sorts of situations as being similar, and we don't know that. But worst case scenario, that could affect her relationship with love, with other human beings. It could affect her value of herself. It could go into all sorts of different places in her life. And Mum didn't even know. But through the magic of this amazing system, this amazing tool that we've got, this game, we can start to create a different relationship through trust conversation with Fast Track for Kids. And we can help our children to be more of who they are. I'm blown away. If you've got any comments around this, or you'd like to know a little bit more, and I wouldn't be surprised if you do, please get in touch with me. I want to hear, I want to help. And Fast Track for Kids is absolutely one of the perfect answers of our time. Thank you for listening. And if I didn't mention it before, you can now open your eyes. Like to hear your stories, please feel free to share them. Bye-bye.